Welcome back to exercise training sessions. And in last session we discussed about data sources in the data flow. And next couple of sessions and this session we are going to discuss. We are going to play with what a data flow transformation can do. And at the end we'll be discussing one session on data flow destinations. So you know now how to pull the data from the data source, from any data source by connecting to the data sources. Now let me set a data source, and from here onwards I'm going to play with the transformations. That means I'm going to change or I'm going to alter the data that is flowing through the data source. So data pipeline. Okay, what I can do using the transformations that we are going to discuss in today's session and in next couple of sessions. So first let me set a standard data source which I can use. Let me make use of the dim product table or fact internet sales table so that I can use that. I use the data from those two tables in all the transformations, and I can explain you how each transformation functions. So I'm going to set the data source first using OLEDB connection. Let me connect. I'll go for new connection, and I'll connect to a new database. I'll name it, the server name is ./SQL_dev. This is a SQL Server dev instance, and the database is AdventureWorks DW. Here it is. So let me connect to this and click on OK. So the data source is set here, and if you want to go for a name, if you want to go for a table or view, you can select this, or if you want to go for a command, then you can go for command here. Okay, first let me write a simple command. I'll build a query by using the tables dim product and fact internet sales. Here it is, dim product, and let me search for fact internet sales, add, and I'll pull out the following columns from each one. From dim product I'll take color, I'm searching for English product name. It will be somewhere on top. Here it is, and from here I'll take sales amount and tax amount, and also find these two are fine. And now let me see the preview, how the data is. You can see silver, mountain bikes, and so on. That data will be repeated. Why? Because a silver with a silver color mountain 100, silver 44 product might have sold so many times, right? It's not one time. So the data will be duplicated. As you can see clearly here, this is duplicated. No, not duplicate data, actually the detailed data. Okay. So the data is fine, the data sets are fine, the columns, let me set the column, let me check the columns. I'll name it as color, I'll name it as products, I'll name it as sales, and I'll name it as tax. Okay, now the data set, then the data source is set. Let's start one by one. Transformations. Okay, the first transformation is pointer. Don't talk about this. That's a pointer, just to go back to the pointer when you are when you've selected something. That is of least priority, not even required to know about it. So the first one is aggregate transformation. So what this aggregate transformation will do? But before going to that, what is aggregated queries in SQL Server? How many of you guys know what is group by statements and how to make use of the group by statements? So generally the group by statements gives you aggregated data. There are a couple of functions which you can use to calculate the aggregated data, like average, sum, max, min, and so on. So this group by statement will help in achieving the aggregated data. Let me take the same query what I have what I'm using here. And I'm going to show you one simple example in SQL Server. So I've copied the query, and if you see, this is high level data. If you let me order it based on color as well as product. So I'm using order by color and product. Let me on. Now if I execute it, you can see black, this particular product, half finger gloves L. There are so many records. Why? Because so many customers purchased it. So that is why whenever a customer purchased a product, there will be a record in the database. Now this group by will help you in calculating what is the total sales of this particular product. Get me the data, group by color or group by English product name, something like that. If you want to group the category, let's say you have 1,000 balls in a bag. Okay. If I ask you how many balls are there in the bag, you will answer 1,000. And if I ask you how many balls are there color wise, then you will count and you will make all the red color into one bucket, blue color into one bucket, green color into one bucket, and you will give the count. In the same way, here the group by will help you in grouping the items and getting the aggregated data. So whatever the columns that are present in the select statement, which are not part of aggregate functions, that needs to be in group by. So these two columns, I'm not going to use any aggregate function. So these two I'm adding to group by, and the remaining two I'm taking the sum of sales amount is a function, and sum of tax amount. So if you observe, the columns are either in the group by or in the or you having some aggregate function like sum, average, and so on. If I execute it, it will take all the black color half finger glove combination, L combination, and it will calculate the sum and it will return the result. So this is the use of group by. This is called aggregation, aggregating the data while pulling from SQL Server tables. So now let's see how we can achieve the same using aggregate transformation. The transformation with the name aggregate is used for the same purpose, to aggregate the data. So first thing what you have to do is you have to connect the pipeline from where you are, from where it is going to get the source, and you have to edit the aggregate transformation either by double clicking or by right click and click on edit. So here you have a couple of options. Let's discuss one by one. The first thing is, let me show you a simple example how the aggregation, how the data will be aggregated. So first I want to aggregate the data based on color. So I'm adding it in group by color. So whatever I'm gonna use in my group by, that means I'm gonna create the aggregations based on this particular column. So in that case, I'll select this as group by. Okay. Second thing, if I select any, let's say I want to group by product also. So you have, if you select, this is the string columns. The data is string, right? Either color and product, if you see, it will have where kind of data type. So you'll find only three options. Either you can take the count of it, or you can take the count distinct of it, or you can take group by of it. And you know very well what is meant by group by. And let me show you what options you will get when you select any numeric column. So sales is a numeric column. You have many options than what you have for the string columns. See, group by count and count distincts are pretty common. The common in for all the columns. And why? Because count and count distinct does not need any integer value, right, or numeric value. It just it just takes the count, whether it's a string or any data type. It will just take the count of whether it is there, how many records are there. That count it will take. So these three will be available for any type of any kind of column, but this remaining items only available for numeric columns. So you can go for sum or average or minimum value or maximum value. Let me go for sum here, and let me take tax amount too, and I'm going for sum. And you have a couple of options here. Let's discuss those options, but first let's see how the output will be. Okay, instead of this, to make it easy to understand, I'm unchecking the products. So I want to group by color and I want to get sales amount and tax amount. So what I have to do now, I have to add some transformation so that I can set a data viewer to see the data, whether it is coming correctly or not. I'm taking audit transformation. Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything with audit transformation until I explain you what it is meant for. So I've added it just to demonstrate, just to add the data viewer. And as you know, you will have metadata, and if you see the metadata, it says these 3 columns will be flowed to the pipeline, and this is string, and this is integer, and this is also integer one, currency one. Okay, CY currency. And if you see data viewers, I'm adding a data viewer, and let me name this data viewer as color wise sales. I don't know how the color wise is, it with space or without space, but that doesn't matter at this point of time, I guess. So let me add color wise sales. So if I execute this, you can see how the aggregate column will aggregate the data. If you see, it is returning the data, it is taking only color wise and it is giving you sales. What is the total sales? If you have only color in the column, then it is returning the sales amount and tax amount. So if you want to see whether it's the correct output or not, you can execute the query always here. If you want to execute it, what you need to do, you need to either remove it from, you have to remove it from here and here as well. Why? Because the column should be either in group by or in or having aggregate function. This is the extra column. Let me remove this one too. And you can see the black, this is the sales 8838411.9576. So this is the black, white, blue, multicolor, not applicable, and so on. If you see, the data will be matching. Now let me go back, and here I am grouping the data based on 2 columns, that is color and English product, and that is nothing but these 2 combination. What is the total sales? Whatever it is available in the group by, those 2 combinations, you will have only 1 record, unique records, these 2 combinations. If you have 3 columns, those 3 columns you will have 1 unique record. So it is like grouping based on the number of columns that are available in the group by statement. So to achieve the same, what you need to do is you need to have that column also in the data in the aggregate function. So how you can do that? What you need to do for that? Just add extra column by simply selecting it. Okay, if you select this, even that one will get added to the query, and that is group by aggregation, and it will return you the result what you are seeing in the SQL server here. So instead of this, what you can do is you can add one more. If you go to the advanced options, here if you see, this is aggregate output. I'll name it as color sales. Okay, and let me expand this, or let me take it here, and now I'm giving it as product sales. Okay, oops, okay, here it is. So product sales, here what you want to group by? I want to group by products, and I want to group by, I want to calculate the sales amount and tax amount. So now I have two outputs. One is color wise group by, and second one is product wise group by. So let me click on OK. So now you created 2 aggregate functions, and you can see one more green line coming here. That means you can give one more. If I drag and drop one more audit transformation, which is not going to do any harm for me, just to demonstrate it, and if I drag and drop it, automatically it will take, okay, that is product sales and this is color sales. So if you want to define it as per your wish, like you want to push product for this one, and when you click here, it will prompt you what output you want to set. If you want to set product wise sales for this, you can set it here, and if you want to set the other one, you just drag and drop the other one to the another transformation. Now, product wise sales is the new one, what we have added, right? And you can see the metadata will be products, sales, and tax. And if you go to the data viewer, here you will get an option for selecting a grid. Let me click on OK, and let me execute this guy now. So I will execute this task, and did I set for colors or products? The data viewer. It looks like I set for colors. Let me see. Okay, I set it correctly. I set it for products, and you can see now it is calculating product wise sales and tax. In the same way, you can go for maximum value and minimum value. So what it will do is it will group by product in this particular case, whatever you are seeing, and it will get the maximum value that got for that particular product. So that max and minimum, one example where you can use is if you go subject wise marks, you can get maximum and minimum. So English maximum is so and so, minimum is so and so. So you can easily find out who is the student who got the maximum marks and minimum marks. Or that's just an example, but in real time it will be there will be so many different examples where you will go, requirements where you will need to go for maximum and minimum functions. So this is about aggregate functions, and there are a couple of options here which we have not discussed. Let me explain you those options so that you will get complete picture about the aggregate transformation. So let me double click on this to see what properties we have that we can configure. So let me go back to the basic model so that I'll get some space. And here you have count distinct, scale, and count distinct keys. Okay, and comparison flag. So these three are not enabled for this one. If I double click on this, it is not changing. But if you go for comparison flag for color, it is wherever I am using group by, it is giving me some options like ignore case, ignore kana type, non-spacing characters, character width. So this character width and kana type, these are the different types of characters that are available, and when we discussed about character map, we will have a quick look at that. Now ignore case and all this stuff means, let's say I have a Rupesh and Rupesh, one in capital letters and one in small letters. If I check that, and then it will ignore the case. So if you want to set any such kind of grouping, while grouping generally people go for ignore case. Why? Because Rupesh and Rupesh both are same. So you can set that. Okay. In the same way, you are not getting the remaining two, count distinct scale and count distinct keys. What is meant by this count distinct scale and count distinct keys, and what is the use of it? Generally, these count distinct scale and count distinct keys can be used only when you are going for count. So if I select this count of all, this is count operation I'm going for, count all operation. And now, sorry, let me go for count, not counter. Let me check this guy. I'm going for product and I'm selecting count. Okay. So if I go for count, then, sorry, this is count distinct here. Let me go for count distinct. Okay. So if I go for count distinct, then it will give me option to edit it. And this count distinct scale. So here we have the different options, low, medium, and high. In the same way, count distinct keys, it's an enterable field. You have to enter it. Now, let me explain you the same thing. I'm going to explain under advanced options. You can see count distinct scale and count distinct keys are there. If you set in this advanced options, so that means it will be applied throughout the task transformation. Let's say I have 10 different aggregations defined in the same transformation, and all those 10 different is having count distinct column in that. So if I set it here, the same count distinct property will be applied to everything. In the same way, if I set keys scale and number of keys here, that will be applied to all the group by items. So wherever I'm using group by, so this this keys scale and the number of keys will be applied. So if you want to set throughout the transformation, then this is the page where you have to go for. And people prefer to go there. So I'm just removing, I'm not setting anything here. and let me explain you what each property is meant for. So these 4 properties are mainly meant for the performance improvement. So you are giving a hint to the server how many values you are expecting. So that is how it will what we can say, it will allocate the exact or adequate adequate memory before the transformation starts. Let's say if I say the number of keys will be 1000, then it will set that much of memory, required memory for that. Or else while reading the data, it has to calculate how much memory it is required, and then it has to process it. So it improves a little bit of performance if you set it in advance. But let me tell you one thing, it's very difficult to set. Let's say you have a table and now there are 8 colors. Let's say there are 1 million customers. If you group by customer name, then you can say 1 million records will be coming. But what about the case after 5 years? The number of customers will be increased, and so people don't set it. And if they set, a little bit of performance gain will be there. In fact, in milliseconds, I can say, not even seconds. Before going to the next one, let me explain what is the property meant, what is the meaning of each property here. So the key scale and number of keys both serve for the group by. How many? See, group by means what it will do. Let me take here, in this case, what I have given two columns here in my group by. What it is going to do here, the first step is it will take the distinct records of this guy, right? These 2 columns, how many distinct records are there, everything will be pulled. So in the same way, if you specify key scale as, let's say, low, that means you are telling the server that there will be a rough figure of 5 lakh different combination, different row groups will be coming. That's what you are giving a hint. If you set it to medium, that means you are giving a hint that there will be 50 lakh records, 50 lakh distinct records. If you set it to high, it will be 2.5 crores. If you feel the records is even more or very, very less, let's say only 500 or 1000, you can set it here, either that or this. Okay. So this one helps the server to allocate the memory, how much memory it needs to calculate the particular one. But always, whatever, if you set some value, it is OR condition, either that or this. If you set the value into the in this, and if you specify as medium, so it will take the preference of these keys, whatever the keys you are specifying. So it will go and it will imagine that there will be only 1000 distinct records. Okay. So that is why it allocates memory based on the keys here. So the first preference will be given to this, and then to the key scale. So this is an OR condition, either this or that. So but first preference, if you set both, the first preference will be given to this. And auto extend factor is like how much percentage you want to extend the memory that is required for calculation if it crossed the limit. Okay. And the count distinct. So it's the same. Whenever it is counting the distinct rows. Let's say you are going for an assumption that there will be something around 10 lakh records. So then you can go and set something to medium. So there will be 10 lakh distinct records available. You are giving a hint to the server, or there will be 50 lakh distinct records in the table. So that's using that hint, what server will do is it will allocate the required amount of memory. In the same way, you can go for count if you want to, some integer value if you want to set. Let's say there are 10,000 distinct records, you can set it here in the count distinct keys. So this is about the 4 properties that we have here, 5 properties that we have here. And one question asked by one of you guys, that is, what is the difference between count and count distinct? Let's say I have a record. I'll demonstrate that, or I'll show you. If I don't have a group by, okay, select color from, let's say dim product. So this guy will give you number of rows, and this number of rows is 606. So this is the count of rows that are available in the dim product. So if I go for distinct, So this is the distinct rows that, this is the distinct count. So the distinct count is the same value will not be repeated. So that is the difference between distinct count and count. And while calculating this distinct count and count, it won't consider the null values. Remember that. Okay. It won't count the null values. So that is one important point. And the other point is, if you have any null value in the column color, which is used in the group by, not in the count or distinct count, which you have used in the group by, then it will create it as one extra group, blank, null as under the row, and how many nulls are there are some of the null records. So the remaining functions will act as is, but there will be one record, one group for null values too. But while calculating the count, distinct and all, it won't calculate the null values. It won't count the null values. So this is completely about aggregation transformation. Now, this is about the first transformation, and let's see the next transformation, that is audit. So what is the use of audit transformation? So we discussed about auditing. We use the word audit when we were talking about logging, right? SSIS logging and so on. It helps for auditing purpose and so on. So let's see what this audit will do. This is one of the simplest transformations that are available. This helps us in concatenating some text while moving to the destination. Few columns like when the package is executed, what is the task name, and what is the package ID, and so on. Some information like that, which will be helpful for auditing purpose. Let's say from here I'm getting product, sales amount and tax amount, and here I'm getting color, sales amount and tax amount. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on that, and here it will show you what are all the different audit types that are available. You can go for package name and what is the version and what is the execution start time when it executed, and machine name and user name who has executed it, and so on. So let me take two columns here. One is username and task name, and let me take package name also. So I've added 3, and now I'll push this output. I'll go to another audit. So I've added this just to see the data viewer, whether the audit transformation is passing the data, the fields properly or not. So I'm setting a data viewer here, and sorry, and I don't need data viewer here. Why? Because we have verified that aggregate transformation is working fine. So let me delete it, or also a lot of our data viewers will be open and it will lead to confusion. Which one you are expecting, and you'll be looking for something else and some other pop-up will open. So that is why I have removed it. So it is passing through the aggregate transformation, and it is returning 130 records here, the aggregated data, and it is passing through audit transformation. And in audit transformation, I have asked the server or the transformation to add the following columns. The one column is username, and it is Rupesh71/Rupesh is the username, and another one is task name, that is data flow task, and another one is package name, it is package 1. So this kind of information, if you say start date or execution date time, so it will help for auditing purpose. If you want, you can make use of it, and this is one of the simplest transformation which helps us in auditing the data, to add the audit information to the data that is moving through the transformation. So that's about aggregate and audit transformations, and the third one is cache transformation. So what is the use of this cache transformation? 99% of the cases this cache transformation is used with lookup transformation. I mean to say that these two will be used as a combo, you can say combination. So it writes the data from the source to the cache manager. So that means there will be a cache, inbuilt cache, and it will write the data to that, and the data will be used by lookup. So it's like if you want to compare two records or two tables, so you can have the data in the cache temporarily. For when the execution is going on, it will read the data and push it into the cache, and it will execute and it will compare and it will send the matched records to one output and unmatched records to another output. It's kind of lookup in Excel. So in Excel, what lookup will do? It will go and check in another sheet. You will have another sheet where you have master data, and in the detailed data, you will check whether this guy is having master or not, a lookup. So in the same way, this cache helps. And the feature of this one is it writes only unique data. Let's say you have duplicate records. Rupesh, there is two records, 3 columns. Rupesh, first name is Valluru, and designation is software engineer. And you have a similar record, one more in the database table. Then it will write only once. It will write only distinct records from the source. Let's see how to configure it. So I'm removing this audit transformation, and I'm giving this audit output to the cache transformation, and here I have to set the connection manager, the place where it is going to go and store the data. So the connection manager, let it be cache connection manager, and if you want to set write the data to a file, you can set it. You can write it. You can write the data to a file, but it will not be deleted, and the security for the file will not be taken care by SSIS. You have to set separate security for that. So generally people see what it is being written to the cache. If you want to know, you can write it to a file. But this is not suggestible, and people don't go for that. The data will be in the cache, and the same cache data will be used by lookup transformation. When we discuss about lookup, then we will talk about this cache, then you will get clear picture. But here, if you want to write the data, whatever it is being pushed to the cache manager, you can write a text, you can create a text file or any file in the desktop, and the file extension will be .caw. If I give it as bio, it will create a file with bio.caw. Okay. And this guy will show the columns. What are all the columns that are present in that are coming from the source? What is the source for this cache transformation here? The source for this one is audit transformation. So whatever the output of the audit transformation is the source for this, and you can see the same columns are here: products, sales, tax, username, task name, and package name. If I click on OK, and if I try to save this, it will throw an error saying that at least one index column should be there in the cache. So indexes means the indexing in SQL Server. So that means there should be at least one unique column where which is having indexing part. So how to set that? So if you think that products is the indexed one, then you have to set it as 1. At least one indexed one should be there. If there are more than one column which is indexed, then you can set, let's say the username is also indexed, and it is second one, you have to set it as 2. And if there is one more indexed column, you have to set it as 3, and so on. But if you repeat the same index once again, 2, then it will throw error saying that the index position of 2 is used more than once. So generally there will be only 1 or 2 columns with index. So if it is 0, that means that is not an indexed column. Remember, at least one index column should be there. I set it as products, and the connection manager is set now. If you want to edit it, you just click on edit, and this refresh metadata, this option is to refresh the columns or the metadata in this file, whatever the file that you are giving here, bio.caw. Actually it is not created, right? If I click on refresh metadata, then it will say an error saying that the file does not exist. It's not yet created. Once it's created, then you can refresh it. Now it is not created. If I execute it, the file will be created, and let's assume you have removed one column from the source, then you have to refresh the metadata. How many columns will be there if the file is created? It will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. And let's say I remove one column from the source, so it will be 5. Then in that case, you have to refresh the metadata. And so what it will do is it will go and check how many columns are there, and it will refresh the metadata of the same. And I set the configuration connections, everything is fine, and you will not have anything except mapping. So this is the source you are getting, and you are mapping to the destination, and this means it is lookup column. If you have more than one lookup column, you will have one more similar icon saying that that is a lookup column. If you click on OK, that's it. The cache transformation is done. Now let me take an audit. I don't need to audit. Why? Because cache transformation is just source the data in the cache. Let me execute it first. Execute the task. Now the data will be cached once it is executed. So you can go and see the file is created, and it won't open. It's a CAW file. You can open it using Notepad, but I don't think it will give a good view. So how here you can see one Rupesh. The task is data flow, and package name is package 1, and product is short sleeves and so on. So this is how the data is. Okay. So this is about the cache transformation, and when we discuss about lookup transformation, we will revisit it, and without this we cannot we use or we don't use lookup transformation. This is the best partner for lookup transformation. So now let's see the next transformation, that is character map. So this character map, I told you, right, there are some thing called half-width characters. When we discussed about aggregate transformation, it was showing some options right here: kana type, non-spacing characters, half-width, character width, and so on. So the same thing you are gonna see here. So I'm taking the output of the cache transformation. Okay. And I'll give it as input to the character map. And let's see what this character map will do. The only things that I can say that I'm good at is the first thing here. If you see whether you want to go for a new column or in place column, in place change. If you set it as in place change, the output alias will be same as this one. That means you are replacing the existing column values. Or if you go for a new column, then you have to specify. I can say I'm going for new column, products in caps, and this is the column name I'm giving. So what this particular transformation will do is this particular transformation will convert to either uppercase or lowercase, or if you select both uppercase and lowercase, what will happen? I've never tried that. Let's try that today. Okay. So first let me go for uppercase, as I've given it as products in caps, and this byte reversal, hiragana, katakana, half width and full width, all these are character types. If your file or if your source is having these kind of characters, then you can convert to the other one. I'll show you what are the opposite words, opposite of this. If the characters are in hiragana type, you can convert to katakana type. And if it is in half width, you can convert to full width. If it is in simplified Chinese, or this one I think, then you can convert to traditional Chinese. If it is a lowercase, you can convert to uppercase. So these are the different options. Okay. Now let me show you what these kind of what are these character types and how it looks. For that, let me take the help of Google. What is the type? Katakana, right? Character set. So this is the katakana character set. If you have any of these kind of, then you can convert it into hiragana. If you want to see what is hiragana characters, and this is hiragana characters. Can you see the images on my screen? And simplified Chinese and traditional Chinese are the different types. So I'll show you one example how it looks. I'll go for product again. I'll go for new column, and I'll say it products in byte reversal. Let's see what is there is an option called byte reversal, and let me select it and click on OK and click on OK. Now I'm taking an audit transformation just to set the data viewer for the data that is flowing through character map and audit transformation pipeline. So let me set a data viewer to show you how the data looks, whether it is setting the caps or not, or whether it is giving the byte reversal data character types or not. So I've executed it. So this is executed and it has written. And here if you see, this is the data and I'm going for products, right? And the first one, products in caps. So a new column is added as I specified. Instead of overwriting, I have specified it as new column and it is done. And byte reversal, this is how it will be byte reversal. So in the same way, if you go for Kanaka, katakana and so on, you'll get a different kind of data. Generally you use, as I told you, these two are opposite, right? Hiragana and katanaka, and in the same way Chinese traditional and Chinese the other one. So if you have data in one format, if you want to convert to the other one, people uses this character map transformation. So this is what happens when you try both of same type. As I told you, right, these two are opposite. Lowercase and uppercase are opposite, and if you select both, then you can see inconsistent use of character mapping flags. Uppercase and lowercase cannot be selected together. In the same way, you can select hiragana and uppercase, lowercase, I guess. Let me select lowercase. So even this one, you cannot select the combination. Because this is a different character set, right? There will be nothing called lowercase in that, might be. And in the same way, these two are opposite, hiragana and katakana. Okay, if you select this will give you the same result. So in that case, this guy should have given a single selection option, right, rather than this. Okay, fine. So let me remove this, and this is how we can make use of character map transformation to transfer the data, to convert the data, to map the data from one type to the another. So now let's see the next transformation, that is conditional split. So I'm removing this audit transformation and I'm giving the output of character map, whatever I'm gonna get, to conditional split. What is conditional split? The name itself, it's clear. If you are getting 100 records, and it will check the condition, whatever the condition you are going to give, and it will split the data. I'll show you how it will be split. So if you double click on that, you have variables and you have columns, whatever the columns that are coming, and also variables. You can make use of the variables as well as you can make use of the columns, and you can make use of the functions to write a condition to split the data. Let's say this is products, right? Let me take a product name. English product name. Oops, sorry. So ball bearing. If the product is ball bearing, I have to move to a different pipeline. I don't want to get it, or I want to move it to pipeline. So what I can do is I can go to products, drag and drop it, and this is my case, and is equal to ball bearing. If the product is ball bearing, then output should flow through this one, through this guy. This is ball bearing. What I can say, pipeline. And all the remaining will flow through this one, default output. So if in all the cases are failed, whatever the cases that you are given, there will be some records with fails for all the cases you are giving here, right? So that will be passed through this one, remaining products. I'm naming it like this. So if I click on OK, now it will split based on the data that it is getting. So let me take an audit transformation, two audit transformations, okay, and let me take the output of the conditional split. When I connect to that, it will ask what output you want to see. I want to see ball bearing pipeline here. That means I'm expecting only one record here. One record should flow through this one, and the second output I'm giving to the audit transformation. Here you can see the remaining products is the default output name that I have given. So the remaining products will flow through this, and the ball bearing pipeline is this one. So if I execute this task, you can see how many records that is flowing from character map will be split at the conditional split transformation. And you have so many functions to make use while writing the conditions, and you can add many conditions. But it should be practical always. Okay, don't go for thousands of conditions and it won't make sense, right? So you are getting 130 and it is not mapping. Oops, let me check how many rows it is flowing there and how many rows it is flowing here. It is showing no rows are coming here, so might be some caps problem. So let me use one string function to convert the source, convert it to either lower or upper. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do lower here, lower of these products column is equal to, I'll make everything in lowercase, and also I'll set L trim and R trim or full trim. There is a trim function here which will trim the data, trim the spaces on the both ends. Hope you guys know about all these functions. If you don't know, you can ask. So what I'm doing here is I'm trimming the product column values, and then I'm converting it into local lowercase and comparing with ball bearing. Let's see. Sorry, bearing ball. Let me re-execute it again. So the data is not flowing because I'm joining the products table with the fact internet sales. I was shocked why it is not flowing, why it is not getting the data. The reason is there is no fact internet sales for that. That is why when I join using inner join, I'm not getting that bearing ball here. So that is the reason. Let me give AWC logo cap. This guy should split the rows. Even I was shocked why the records are not flowing through these two, flowing through this pipeline. So I'll give AWC logo cap. I thought so many things. There might be some space issue or caps issue. So now let me execute. So this is the records I'm getting from the database, and you can see AWC logo cap is going through bearing ball pipeline. So this is how you can use conditions to split that flow. Let's say you are getting 1000 records, and in that you want to push some 500 records into one and remaining 500 records into another based on some condition. You can make use of that. You can see here the one row is moving through this pipeline, and 129 remaining to 129 rows is coming to the default output, or we call it as the remaining products in this particular example. So this is the conditional split, and you can make use of the variables as well as the functions that are available to do this. For example, if you want to split based on sales amount or salary of an employee, if the salary is less than 50,000, send it to one pipeline, and the salary is greater than 50,000, send it to another pipeline. So you can do that. You can use mathematical functions, or you can use operators like greater than, less than, and so on to achieve the same. And if you have one condition given here, you will have two outputs. One is the condition output, and another one is the default output, the remaining output. If you have two conditions here, there will be three outputs. The one for each condition and the remaining. So always it will be, the output will be one extra. If you have 0 conditions, then how many outputs will be there? It will be one output. If you have one condition, then two outputs. Two conditions, three outputs. So this is about the conditional split, and you can use it to move the data into through different pipelines based on the requirements. Okay. Now let's see the next transformation. Before seeing the next transformation, I'll remove the connection, and I'm dragging and dropping the next transformation, that is copy column. So what this copy column will do, I'm giving you output of this one to Copy column. So the copy column is one of the transformation, just like audit. So there is only one use of this copy column. What it will do is it will create a copy of it. That's it. Apart from that, it's not gonna do anything. So it will create a alias column. It will create a copy of an existing column. So there are 10 columns here if you want to create one extra copy, and that is why people don't use it much frequently. I'll name it as copied products. So the output of this one, what will happen is you will have one extra column. So let me double click on that and set a data viewer for this to see whether the column is getting copied or not. An extra column is coming or not. And let me remove that data viewers here. Why? Because it is working fine. We have tested it. And even here, I don't need it at this point of time, so that it will save some time for us. So now let me execute the package and execute this task, and let's see whether the column is getting copied. So this is the data viewer, and you can see the products is there, the first column, and I've copied the same column. You can see copied products, the same thing is coming. So that is the only use of the copy column transformation. Now we discussed a lot. We used it so many times, but we have not discussed. So let me finish the sort transformation. This is here, right, from long back. So let me remove this, and I'll give the output of the copy column to the sort transformation. So what the sort transformation will do is it will sort based on the values that you are giving. Let's say here. So if you see the products, you want to sort in ascending or descending. Let's say I want to do it in descending. And then what you want to sort? You want to sort something else, you can select it. If you said it will be a row 2 or 1, you can modify the order. Which one to be executed first? Is it based on sales ascending or products descending? So the sort order will tell what is the order based on which you want to execute it. And now if you see the comparison flag which we have seen, ignore case, ignore kana, non-spacing characters, and so on. The same whatever we have discussed there. Now there is an option called pass through here. If I remove this, I'm removing all the pass through. I'm giving only copied products. Okay, I'm removing the tags. So what is this pass through? Let me show you. So the pass through will provide you an option. So it will pass only those items whatever you have selected. If you see the metadata of the pipeline, you are having only the products that you have selected for to sort it in descending, and the second one is copied products. So that is pass through. So you want to say, you are saying the server that only pass these values. Now I set sales to. And now if I go to the metadata, it will pass sales also. So whatever you want to send after ascending or after descending, after sorting the data, what you want to pass to the next transformation. If I set a data viewer here, let me set a data viewer, and let's see whether it sorts in the descending order or whatever the order we have given for the products. So let me execute this task. So the pass through, I hope you understood what is the use of pass through. Pass through will tell what columns needs to be passed. If you check, it will be passed to the next transformation or next task item. Else it will not pass that particular column which you have not selected. You can see the only 3 columns are passing through it, that is products, copied products, and sales as we selected. So that is the pass through option. And now there is one more option. Remove rows with duplicate sort values. So let's say, let me show you let me explain you this. This is an important property. I'm taking an Excel. Name company. Let's say I have 2 columns and I'm sorting based on name. I have Rupesh, Lokesh, HP, BP, PP, again Rupesh, Again, when I DP, EP, let's say these are the companies. So if I check this option, remove rows with duplicate sort order, first it will come, it will sort it, and it will take Rupesh first, let's say Lokesh, it will be, let's say in ascending order, Lokesh comes first, and it will take the Lokesh, and it will pass the value. And if the next one is Rupesh, it will come and check the Rupesh, and it has two records, and the first will be taken and the second will be discarded. So Rupesh with the DP company will not come into picture, will not come in the output pipeline. In the same way, when PP will come, but EP will not come. So why? Because it will check whether the column, whatever we are using in the sort order, sorting values, whether it is having any duplicate or not. If there is any duplicate record, then it will take the first one and it will ignore the rest of the options. But we don't have such duplicate data here. That is why it is not. I'm not showing that. So this is how it will be. Okay, and this is the use of the option remove rows with duplicate. And this is about the sort transformation, which we are using from long back but not discussed. And let's move to the next transformation. Let's say this is the last transformation for the day, and then we can discuss the remaining transformations in next session. So the next one is data conversion. I'm removing this here, and I'm giving the sort output to data conversion and the data conversion to the other one. Before going to that, first let me go here. So this data conversion, what it will do is it will convert the data type, but it has to be, if you can't convert string to integer, remember it should be compatible. If it is compatible, then it will. See, this is Unicode string, and that is DTWSR, and I'm converting it into normal string, non-Unicode string, DTSTR. So both are strings, but Unicode and non-Unicode. I'll explain you about non-Unicode and Unicode. It's a little important and need some more on that. Okay. So now the output alias, input column name is product. I'll name it as product in string. Okay. The length is 50 and code page and all the remaining stuff is fine. And precision and scale will come for the data types like floating and all. So now I'm converting the string, Unicode string, to non-Unicode string type. Okay. If I click on OK, and if I give this output to this audit transformation, if you see this pipeline, if you see the metadata, the product is DTWSTR. Okay. That is Unicode. And if you see that the type that it is pushing out of that, if you see, it is DTSTR. So the data type is it's converting the non-Unicode to non-Unicode. In the same way, you can convert the different data types from one data type to another one, but it should be compatible. Keep that one in mind. And if I execute it, you don't find much difference. You'll be getting the same data. Okay, you'll be getting the same data, but in a different data type. So the data conversion is most frequently used when you are pointing to Excel or notepads, where you will be reading the data in very odd data types, and you need to convert so that it will be easy for, it will be compatible with the destination. Okay, if destination is non-Unicode and you are sending Unicode, so you have to convert it while moving to the destination. So you'll go for data conversion transformation. So that's it about the data conversion transformation, and that's it for today's session, guys. And we'll continue the remaining, like let's say, I think we have covered 6 to 7 or something around 8. It will take 2 to 3 more days to finish all the remaining transformations, and after that we will discuss about the data flow destinations. Thank you very much and have a nice day, guys. Bye bye.